Asymmetric key encryption. Asymmetric key encryption, also known as public key cryptography, is a foundational concept in modern information security. It allows two parties, like our classic examples Alice and Bob, to communicate securely without ever having to meet or exchange a secret key beforehand. Unlike simpler symmetric encryption, which uses a single, shared secret key for both encrypting and decrypting, asymmetric encryption uses two mathematically linked yet distinct keys in a pair. The key pair. Every participant, such as Alice and Bob, generates their own unique key pair, public and private keys. The public key is intended to be shared openly with anyone. It is used to encrypt messages for the owner of the key or to verify a digital signature created by the owner. The private key must be kept absolutely secret by its owner. It is used to decrypt messages encrypted with the corresponding public key or to create a digital signature. The relationship between the keys is a cryptographic marvel. What one key encrypts, only the other key in the pair can decrypt. The security of the entire system rests on the fact that, while the public key is mathematically derived from the private key, it is computationally infeasible to reverse the process and derive the private key from the public key. This is based on complex mathematical problems known as one-way functions, which are easy to compute in one direction but extremely difficult to reverse without a special piece of information, the trapdoor, the private key. Confidentiality, sending a secret message. Imagine Alice wants to send a secret message to Bob. An eavesdropper, Eve, is monitoring all their communication channels. Key generation and publication. Before any secure message exchange can happen, Bob must first generate his key pair. Bob generates a public key and a private key. Bob publishes his public key to a public directory, a website, or simply sends it directly to Alice over an insecure channel. Eve can see this public key. Crucially, Bob never shares his private key with anyone, not even Alice. Encryption by Alice. Alice decides what secret message she wants to send, e.g., meet me at the park at 5 p.m. She retrieves Bob's public key and uses an asymmetric encryption algorithm, like RSA or an elliptic curve cryptography method, in Bob's public key to encrypt her message generating the ciphertext. Transmission. Alice sends a ciphertext to Bob across the insecure communication channel. Eve intercepts the ciphertext. Since Eve only has Bob's public key, and the ciphertext was created using that key, Eve cannot use the public key to decrypt the message. The decryption requires the corresponding private key, which only Bob possesses. Decryption by Bob. Bob receives the ciphertext from Alice and uses his private key to decrypt and recover the original message, ensuring confidentiality. Authentication and integrity. Digital signatures. Beyond secrecy, asymmetric encryption can also be used to guarantee a message's authenticity, that it really came from Alice, and integrity, that it hasn't been tampered with. This is achieved through digital signatures. Imagine Alice sends a contract to Bob, and Bob needs to be sure it's the official version from Alice. Signing by Alice. Alice takes the message M in the contract. She first computes a hash of the message. A hash is a unique, fixed-length fingerprint of the message. Any tiny change to M will result in a completely different hash. Alice then encrypts this hash using her own private key. This encrypted hash is the digital signature of the message. Alice sends the original message M and the digital signature to Bob. Verification by Bob. Bob receives the message and the signature. Bob independently computes a hash of the received message. Bob retrieves Alice's public key and uses it to decrypt the signature and successfully recovers the original hash value. Bob compares his locally calculated hash with the recovered hash from the digital signature. If the hashes match, Bob is certain that, the signature must have been created by Alice, as only she holds her private key, i.e., authenticity. The message has not been altered since Alice signed it, because any change would have resulted in a mismatch in hash value, i.e., integrity. Real-world use, the hybrid approach. While a revolutionary concept, asymmetric encryption is significantly slower and more computationally expensive than symmetric encryption. Therefore, in practice, a hybrid encryption scheme is used for large volumes of data, like a web browsing session. Alice and Bob use their public and private keys, asymmetric encryption, only to securely exchange a small temporary symmetric key, a session key. Once both parties possess the secret session key, they switch to the much faster symmetric encryption to encrypt and decrypt the bulk of their communication data. This hybrid model leverages the strengths of both: asymmetric encryption's ability to solve the key exchange problem, and symmetric encryption's superior speed and efficiency for high-volume data transfer. This is the underlying mechanism for securing connections, like HTTPS. In summary, asymmetric key encryption provides two distinct critical services: confidentiality, allowing anyone to encrypt a message that only the intended private key holder can read. Authentication and integrity, allowing the private key holder to sign a message that anyone can verify, proving authorship and non-tampering. By solving the key distribution problem inherent in symmetric encryption, it has made secure, scalable communication the backbone of the internet.